Alright, it's day two at the Lord's Cricket Ground. The Australian batters are coming out to bat. A huge score is what they mounted on day one, and they'll only be looking to build on that as we start the proceedings on day two. A little bit of a stutter to begin with because the covers were on for a long time. There was a bit of drizzle, but what we are learning at the moment is that the match is all set to begin. We see the English players wearing the red caps. The red caps, it is the Andrew Strauss initiative. Remember, he set up the foundation a few years back. And day two of the Lord's Test match, you see the players wearing red caps. The Red for Ruth, that's the name of the campaign. That's to create awareness about lung cancer. He lost his wife because of that reason. And what Andrew Strauss does believe is that yes, the campaigns gain momentum, but there's still a long way to go in terms of spreading awareness, in terms of doing the research and development. But talking about cricket now, Gargi joins me on this broadcast. Gargi, not the ideal start in the second test match for England, having won the toss. You expect the team to be justifying that decision, after you decide to bowl first in overcast conditions, relatively green track as well. But England was still the second best team on the day.
Yeah, England hasn't been on their best foot. They haven't put their best foot forward because when we look at it, England, it was in England's hands. You know, they won the toss and wanted to bowl first, but then again it was overcast. But that shouldn't have made a lot of difference because it was England who won the toss, and they should have, went according to their whatever their plan A was. Scott Boland is in Australia, but. When we look at Kevin Peterson wasn't too happy about it. He said a lot of words about the England bowling, but it's quite clear that England wasn't, at their best at this moment. But it kind of looks like the Ashes is slipping away from England's hands.
It does look like that indeed. They need to get a few things right, if they are to make a comeback of sorts. Because remember, Australia have already scored in excess of 330 runs, still half the side yet to bat, and they managed that huge score just on day one. You're looking at 4 more days of cricket. You're looking at half the side yet to bat on day two as well. So for Australia, well, most things looking bright at the moment. And speaking of bright things, there isn't a lot of sunshine, by the way, at the Lords. That's what we're learning at the moment. Now, what this also means is, let's talk about, let's say, from an England perspective, because the sun's not out at the moment, what you do expect is the bowlers to make most of those conditions. Something, by the way, that they didn't do yesterday. You expect Jimmy Anderson, who, by the way, was getting a lot of movement yesterday, Stuart Broad as well, who was again making the ball talk. You expect these guys to be putting in the pressure and getting those wickets as well. England, you could argue, were a tad unlucky, I felt, yesterday, because there were a couple of instances when the ball didn't carry to the slip quadrant. But besides that, there was a lot of slip up in the field. There was a lot of loose bowling, and that is something England will have to plug. And they might want to, they should do this in the first hour, if you ask me, because if you can't make most of these conditions, well, things could just slip away further from you. And if the visitors manage somewhere around a 450 or in excess of that, boy oh boy, England will be in deep trouble.
I mean, we've seen Australia is a dangerous batting unit, and England need to get their they need to have a put together team, because when we look at it, Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad are carrying the most of the weight when it comes to the bowling unit. Joe Root is their best spinner, which shouldn't have been the case, because you've got Moeen Ali was out of the squad. I think it was because of the injury, but whatever reason, they haven't been up to par when it comes to bowling. But when you're up against a squad like Australia, you need to have your best bowlers in the squad, and it is at the moment England's best bowlers are not enough for the Australian batting lineup, which is very scary.
You mentioned about Joe Root over there.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that late burst from him right towards the end on day one, those are 2 lucky wickets, if you ask me, because you brought in Joe Root in circumstances where most things had slipped away from you on day one. And again, those were I would take them as lucky breakthroughs for England. Now, if it wasn't for Joe Root providing those 2 breakthroughs, well, England could have been in a soup. But yes, they still can put on a fight over here. You're talking about baseball, you're talking about aggressive approach. Yes, baseball does mean that you can go around and hit those runs quickly, but it can't really mean that you leak the runs at a rate that you did yesterday. So those are those are the few amends, let's say, that England would want to make. But if they have to do something, they have to do it right from ball one. And as we speak, by the way, plays begun at the Lords, a crucial day for both the teams, especially for England, because they find themselves way back in this test match. They've got a lot of things to cover up for, and get back in this match. So long way to go for England over here, but discipline will be the key on day two. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us for this quick update as far as the second test match of the Ashes is concerned. We'll be keeping you posted with the latest developments. Don't forget to tap that bell icon so that you know when we go live, and for everything else as well, we'll be keeping you updated as far as the world of sport goes. Thank you so much. That was Gargi Raut. My name is Harshit Ahuja. We'll see you soon.